Allow me to demonstrate how to insert, delete, or clear rows and columns in the solar panel chart spreadsheet. To insert a row or column between existing ones, you can follow these steps. On a PC, right-click, or on a Mac, Control-click on the gray area that displays the column letter or row number. In this case, let's say I want to insert a row above the last row. I'll right-click on the tab for the row number, and from the menu that appears, I'll select Insert One Above. Next, let's proceed with deleting one of the columns. To do this, right-click on the gray area in column B. From the menu that appears, select Delete Column. Alternatively, you can also access this menu by hovering over the column header and clicking on the small arrow that appears. If you need to insert or delete multiple rows or columns, simply highlight the desired number of rows or columns, and then right-click or Control-click. To insert 3 rows above the current 3 rows, start by highlighting all 3 rows. You can do this by clicking and dragging the mouse cursor across the row headers. Once the rows are selected, right-click on the row header and choose Insert 3 Above from the menu. Similarly, if you wish to delete multiple rows or columns at once, simply click on the row or column header to select and highlight all the rows or columns you want to delete. Then, proceed to right-click on the header and select the Delete option from the menu. To delete rows 2, 3, and 4, you can right-click or Control-click on any of the selected rows and choose the Delete option. If you need to add a large number of rows to the spreadsheet, simply scroll to the bottom of the spreadsheet and enter the desired number of rows. After that, click the Add button. For example, I'll add 100 rows to my spreadsheet and then click Add. There are situations where you may want to keep the row or column structure intact, but remove the contents of the cells within that row or column. That's correct. Clearing the content from a row or column is referred to as clearing the row or column. To clear the content, simply highlight the columns and rows from which you want to remove the content. In this case, I will clear the content from rows 5 and 6 of my solar panel entries. To do this, right-click on the rows 5 and 6, and from the menu, select Clear Rows 5 and 6. As a result, the contents of those 2 rows will be cleared. Using these shortcuts to insert, delete, and clear contents in rows and columns can be a great time saver when entering data. In Google Sheets, you have a wide range of options for formatting your spreadsheet cells, rows, and columns. To access these formatting options, you can navigate to the Format menu on the toolbar or use keyboard shortcuts. When you hover over a formatting icon in the toolbar, a description of what that option can do. For instance, if you hover over the B icon, a pop-up description will appear, indicating that the tool is used for formatting text in bold. Let's explore how these formatting options work in Google Sheets. Let me demonstrate using this monthly sales report spreadsheet. If you want to change the format of a number to display it as currency, you can follow these steps. First, select the entire price column by clicking and dragging over it. Then, click on the Format as Currency icon in the toolbar. You'll notice that there are even more currency formats available under the Format menu. You can explore additional currency formats by selecting Number, then More Formats, and finally More Currencies. Let's talk about formatting as a percent, like in the Percent of Stock Items Sold column. To do that, I'll select the column and use the Format as Percent icon in the toolbar. It's that simple. If I want to adjust decimal places in a numerical column, say the Amount column, I have options. I can increase decimal places by selecting the column and adding one more decimal place. And if I want to decrease decimal places, I can use the Decrease Decimal Places icon. By the way, Did you know you can create custom number formats? Under More Formats, you'll find Custom Number Formats. It allows you to define your own format, giving you greater flexibility in displaying your numbers. Moving on to date and time formats, let's explore that a bit further. If we want to format a cell as a date or time, we can easily do so. First, we need to select the cell or range of cells we want to format. Let's say we want to format the date column. We'll select that column and then navigate to the Format option. Under the Number section, we'll find various date formats to choose from. We can select a different format that suits our needs. Now, let's discuss changing the format of text. If we want to change the font style of a cell or range of cells, it's a straightforward process. We'll simply select the desired cells and then choose the font style option. For example, I'll select all the cells in the sheet and change the font style to Dana. Similarly, adjusting the font size is just as easy. We'll select the cell or range of cells we want to modify, and then select the font size number to make it larger or smaller as needed. I'll select this title cell and increase the font size to make it larger. I'll go with 24 points. If I want to apply bold, italic, or strike-through formatting, it's a quick and easy process. For now, I'll focus on making my column headers bold. I'll select the range of cells for the headers and simply click the bold button. It's that simple. Sometimes, changing the background color of a cell can greatly improve readability. In this case, I'll change the color of the header row. To do that, I'll select the range of cells for the header row and choose a new fill color. Let's go with something brighter like yellow. It should make the headers stand out nicely. Now, let's explore formatting borders. With the Border tool, you can select a range of cells and personalize the border appearance. In this case, I'll create a solid black line border for the entire table. It's a great way to enhance the visual presentation of your data. Next, let's discuss merging cells. There are instances where you might want to merge cells to create more space for your data without altering the size of a row or column. It allows you to combine multiple cells into a single larger cell. This can be helpful when you have a header or a title that spans across multiple columns or rows. To merge cells, start by selecting the cells you want to merge. For example, I'll merge two cells here to create more space. Once selected, click on the Merge Cells icon. This action combines the selected cells into a single, larger cell, allowing you to expand the space for your data. Additionally, for better readability, you can align the contents of cells in a specific way. It's particularly useful when you want your data to be aligned horizontally or vertically. In this spreadsheet, I'll align the contents of the item SKU number column to be horizontally aligned to the right, just like the other columns. To achieve this, I'll select the column and choose the horizontal alignment option, specifically right. Moreover, to center align the column headers, I'll select the range of cells containing the headers and choose the Center Align option. This ensures that the headers are centrally aligned within their respective cells. To ensure my title text is perfectly centered within the cell, I'll align it vertically. First, I'll select the cell containing the title. Now, here's a useful tip. Sometimes it's more convenient to wrap the text within a cell instead of widening the column, or maybe you just want to make sure all the cell's contents are visible without any hassle. In this case, I'll write the text for my column header. Then, I'll simply select the cell and click on the Wrap Text icon. One of my go-to formatting tools is the Paint Format tool. You can use it to easily copy the formatting from one cell or a range of cells and apply it to another. So, what I'll do is click on the specific range of cells that I want to replicate the formatting for. Then, I'll simply click on the Paint Format tool, which you can easily identify as it resembles a paint roller. Now, let me scroll down to the bottom of the spreadsheet. Ah, there it is. I'll paste the formatting onto this row right here. Oh, and while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and merge these cells together to enhance the overall appearance of my chart. When dealing with a large data set, freezing rows or columns can come in handy. This feature allows you to keep specific rows or columns visible as you scroll through the rest of the spreadsheet. Let's start by discussing how to freeze rows. Now, imagine you have a sheet with numerous rows, and you want the column headers to remain visible while scrolling down. Specifically, you want the first 3 rows to stay in view. To achieve this, select the third row since that's the last row you want to remain visible. Then, go up to the View menu and choose Freeze. Here, you'll select more than just 1 or 2 rows. In fact, you'll select up to your current row. In this case, you'll select up to the current row 3. Once you've frozen the rows, you'll notice a light gray line indicating the frozen rows as you scroll through the spreadsheet. Those top 3 rows will remain visible. To unfreeze the rows, simply go back to the View menu, select Freeze, and then choose No Rows. Now, when you scroll through the spreadsheet, those rows will no longer be frozen. The process is similar for freezing columns. Let me demonstrate using the silver panel chart. I prefer to keep the first column visible as I scroll through the other columns. To freeze columns, go to the View menu again, click on Freeze, and then specify the number of columns you want to freeze. In this case, I'll choose to freeze 1 column. You'll notice a light gray bar appearing to the right of column A, indicating that the first column is now frozen. As you scroll horizontally across the spreadsheet, that first column will remain visible. To unfreeze the column, simply select View, then Freeze, and choose No Columns. It's worth considering freezing rows or columns before you share a spreadsheet with others or present it. Freezing the row or column headers can greatly enhance readability and help others understand the data in the spreadsheet more easily. Here are some quick and easy ways to move or copy rows, columns, and groups of cells within a Google Sheets spreadsheet. Let's begin by demonstrating how to move rows and columns. We'll use this solar panel chart sheet as an example. The fastest and simplest method to move rows or columns is to click on the row or column and then drag and drop it to the desired new location. In your solar panel chart, to move column B and make it the first column, you can follow these steps. First, click once on the gray column header with the letter label of column B. As you do so, you will notice that your cursor changes into a little hand icon. Now, while holding the mouse button, drag the column and drop it into the desired new location. By doing this, you have successfully moved column B to the first column position, which is now labeled as column A, and your solar panel size column is now the first column in your chart. So, if you want to move rows 8 and 9 down to the bottom, you can simply click on the row headers 8 and 9 while holding down the Shift key to select both rows. Once your cursor turns into a little hand, you can drag those 2 rows down below the final row. Just click away, and it will automatically save your changes. Another way to move rows and columns is by using the Edit menu. First, select the rows or columns you want to move. In this case, let's say you want to move column A, which represents the solar panel size, back to its original position. So, what I'll do is I'll just click on the column header using my mouse to select that specific column. Once I've got it selected, I'll head over to the Edit menu and choose the option to move the column to the right. After doing that, the column will go back to its original position. The same thing applies to rows as well. If you want to move rows, simply select the rows you want to move, then go to the Edit menu and pick whether you want to move them up or down. In this case, I'll move these 2 rows back up. One thing to note is that when using the Edit menu, you can only move the rows or columns incrementally. Another way to move data is by using drag and drop. If you want to move a selection of cells or even just a single cell, here's what you do. Start by selecting the cells you want to copy and move. For example, I'll choose the wattage of my solar panels. Once you've made the selection, hover your cursor at the top of the chosen cell or cells. As you do that, you'll notice the cursor transforming into a hand symbol once again. Now, you can simply drag the data to a new location where you want it to be placed. Once you've positioned it correctly, release the mouse to drop the data there. In case you want to undo the move, you can always drag it back to its original position. Lastly, let's explore the easiest method to copy and paste rows, columns, or cells. To create a copy of data within a row, all you need to do is highlight the desired data. For instance, let's say I want to highlight the data in row 10. After selecting the data, I'll use Ctrl+C on my PC or Command+C on my Mac to copy the data. Now, I'll choose the area where I want to paste the data, which in this case is row 11. To paste the data, I'll use Ctrl+V on my keyboard or Command+V on my Mac, and voila! The data will be pasted into that row, creating a copy. You know what's great about Google Sheets? It gives you the flexibility to work with multiple rows, columns, or even groups of selected cells. And let me tell you, the drag and drop feature is just fantastic. You can easily move rows, columns, and cells around by simply dragging them wherever you want. It's such a time saver when it comes to editing my sheets. The best part is that this awesome feature works seamlessly on the mobile app as well. So you can edit your sheets on the go, without any hassle. When it comes to managing your spreadsheet, hiding columns, rows, or sheets can be quite useful. It allows you to narrow down your focus to a specific section, conceal sensitive information, or simply simplify the view when presenting. Now, let's dive into the process of hiding and unhiding rows in a spreadsheet. So, let's say I've made the decision to hide the data for Alaska. What I'll do is select rows 4 and 5, then I'll right-click on the selected rows and choose the option to hide rows 4 and 5. This action will conceal the data for Alaska from view. When I click away from it and hover, I notice this small icon with up and down arrows popping up right where rows 4 and 5 are hidden. And guess what? If I click on that icon, those rows magically reappear. Oh, and here's another cool trick. We can actually hide columns too. Let me show you. So, on this solar panel chart, I'm going to hide some of these extra columns that we don't need. To do that, just right-click or Control-click on the letter or letters of the column or columns you want to hide. Then, from the drop-down menu that appears, simply select Hide Columns. First, let's select columns D and E. Now, let's hide columns D and E. You'll notice the double arrow icon indicating that those columns are now hidden. If you want to bring them back, simply click on that icon, and both columns will reappear. Now, let's move on to hiding a sheet in Google Sheets. To do this, start by right-clicking on the Sheet tab. A menu will appear, and from there, select Hide Sheet. As a result, the Sheet tab will disappear from view. To unhide the sheet, go to the View menu and choose Hidden Sheets. You'll find the sheet you hid, and simply click on it to show it again. It's a quick and easy way to manage your rows, columns, and Sheets in Google Sheets. Remember, this feature can save you time when entering data or make your spreadsheet easier to review. In the next set of formulas, we'll explore the row and column functions. These formulas are inherently straightforward and simple, yet they can prove incredibly useful when applied correctly in the appropriate contexts, which we'll explore later on. Let's start with the row formula, which returns the number of the current row we're working with. Indeed, you can simply type in the row formula with no input, and it will return the number of the current row you're on. In this case, it returns 68. Additionally, you can also link the row formula to a specific cell, and it will return the row number of that particular cell. Let's give it a try by linking it to any of these cells. However, for now, let's keep it as is and move on to the column formula. When we enter the column formula without any input, it returns the column number of the cell we're in. In this case, it returns 5, which corresponds to column E. Essentially, the column formula converts the alphabet letters into their corresponding numerical values. For example, counting from column A, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is correct. I completely understand. Let's explore the best use case for the row formula, which is incredibly handy and often used in various files. Imagine you have a table like this and you want to assign dynamic numbering to each row. Manually numbering the rows as 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. can be problematic because if you switch the rows around, the numbering will no longer align correctly, leading to a messy situation. However, by using the row formula, you can avoid this issue. Here's how it works. In the formula, you need to define the current row by using the row formula itself. Then, subtract the number 1 from it. In this case, if the current row is 75, subtracting 74 will give you the dynamic numbering for all the rows. The beauty of this approach is that even if you sort the data or rearrange the rows, the numbering will remain intact. It won't get disrupted or go off track. This allows for flexibility and consistency in your data management. That's an important point to keep in mind. While using the row formula for dynamic numbering works well for datasets where new rows are added on top and the data remains relatively stable, it may not be suitable for dashboards or tabs where new rows are frequently inserted at different positions. In such cases, manually inserted numbers may become incorrect as rows shift and adjustments need to be made constantly. However, when working with a dataset placed at the top of the tab, as is often the case, the row formula for dynamic numbering works beautifully and maintains its accuracy. So, as we wrap up this final video, we want to leave you with a message: keep spreading positivity, chasing your dreams, and embracing the beauty of life. Together, we can make the world a better place. See you in another video. Love and peace.